Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's session. We are going to be going through some Leap hacks, some tips and tricks to make your everyday workflow a bit easier and more efficient. My name is Kiara Lyons, and I am the Member Services Associate here with CCS. Here is our agenda for today. I will begin by reviewing some helpful navigation features in Leap, and then we will learn how to customize the Find tool. I'll share some tips for searching in the Find tool and some handy features that you can use while placing holds. Finally, at the very end, we'll have some resources and time for a Q&A. But that being said, if you have any questions for us during the demo, you don't have to hold them in until the very end. Please feel free to drop them in the chat and I will work through on answering them as we go. So if there are no questions yet, I don't see anything, let's go ahead and jump in. All right. So if you were at my training last week to go over the new in Leap 7.7, this is a familiar slide for you. I wanted to share that Leap has come out with some new keyboard shortcuts. The newly added shortcuts are highlighted here on this slide. The actions are listed on the left, and we have the keyboard, the actual shortcut listed on the right. So we now have an action to return to the search results, an action to open the work form tracker, an action to print, an action to open the new menu, as well as an action to open the utilities menu, an action to open the Find tool, and then an action to close the work form tracker. And so like I said, listed here are the shortcuts that were added in this last update, but I also wanted to show you where the list of all available shortcuts live. So I'm going to pop over to Leap now. On our top right hand header, we see this new utilities help dropdown. You will just click that help dropdown and click on keyboard. And here you'll be able to see all of the shortcuts listed. We have those actions ones that are fairly new that I reviewed just a second ago. We have some patron view and some mark editor keyboard shortcuts. One note that Innovative wanted us to pass along that they found while testing internally is that with any browser-based application like Leap, assigning shortcuts could be a little difficult because they may overlap with other shortcuts. So depending on what extensions you may have downloaded on a computer, you may face some overlap. And if you notice that these aren't working for you, Leap and Innovative just recommends that you double check your extensions to see if that's what's causing the issue. And if you're trying to work on these shortcuts and they're not working for you, you can go ahead and open a ticket with us and we can also help take a look. Okay, very quick navigation, the shortcut keyboard shortcuts. Next up, I have the workform tracker. So I'm sure that many of you are familiar with this. To open it, you'll just click the top left little hamburger menu. You open that up and we see the two workform tracker pages. We have the current tab that lists the records and record sets that you currently have open. And we have this recent tab that lists the recently accessed like patron bib and item records. So here we can see I have some patron records that I had recently accessed. I have 2 bib records and 2 item records. One thing to note is that the default is 2 per record. But the tip that I'm going to show you today is that you can edit that so that it matches your personal preference and needs. So to do that, we'll go ahead and click on our name, our username at the top right-hand corner. You'll click on Settings, and it'll go ahead and direct you to our settings page with these 3 tabs. We have print options, special loan, and workform user default is what we want to work with today. When we click on that, we will move over to the right-hand corner and see this workform tracker recent records. We can go ahead and update this to reflect however many we want to see. So if I want to see 10 patrons listed at once, and maybe I want to see 5 bib records and then 3 item records, I can update those and then just remember to press that save button. We see workform user default settings have been successfully saved. I'll go ahead and close. And now whenever you open your workflow tracker, those are the amount of items that you will see for each type of record. Another tip that I did a little earlier in this little demo is that I clicked on this pin button. If you would like your workflow tracker to always stay open, you can click on the pin and that'll keep it from closing out on you. Okay, those are two very quick navigation tips, keyboard shortcuts and workflow trackers. I'm going to take a peek to see if there are any questions on that. Okay, let's keep going. So this next part is my favorite, just because I know many of us spend a lot of time in the Find tool. So it's really valuable being able to personalize it so it works best for your individual needs. So to start, I just want to go ahead and open my Find tool. And I will change our search database to bib records. And I want to take a look at our columns here. We have a column for title, author, format, linked items, holds, publication date, call number, and control number. Now, I believe that this is the default. This is what it comes as when you first log into Leap. And you may find all of this information very helpful, or you may not need any of it. Thankfully, you are able to edit these columns to your liking. So again, we'll go to this little menu icon. We'll open it up and click on that first column settings choice. Here on the left, we can edit our columns simply by checking the piece of information that we want and unchecking anything that you don't want to see. You can also highlight it and move up and down to determine the order of your columns. So let's say that I don't really care for publication date, so I'll uncheck that. And I don't need to see the call number. I'll uncheck that. But I do want the ISBN listed along with it. I'll add that, and I actually want to move ISBN up so that it's below holds. I can also take a look at my column setting information if I highlight these on the left and see the information on the right. So for example, I have title highlighted. We can see that it's in display position 1. There are a couple pieces of information here that we can change, like we can choose to pin this so that the column stays whenever we scroll. We can choose to make it visible or not. And this is just the same as checking and unchecking. So if I were to put false, it would go ahead and uncheck it. If I say true, it would check it. Let me move this back up. We can also change the width. So if you want to change the size of your column, you can do that here. Once everything is listed the way that you want, please be sure to click Save, and it will be updated to your columns. This is unique to your account, so you don't have to worry about changing it and then having it change at a different workstation. This is for your user account. So you set it up however you want. Oh, question. I know, right? I was getting a little frustrated when I was closing and opening the work form. The pin is very helpful. All right. The next way to customize the Find tool is to set up a default search database. So you saw when I first opened this up, open my Find tool, it takes me to the patron. But say I tend to search more for bib records, and I would like that to be what automatically opens when I click that Find tool button. All I'm going to do to set that is open our search database dropdown, scroll to find bib records, and click on that star icon next to bib records. Then I'll be prompted, change the default search database to bibliographic records. If that's what I want to do, I'll go ahead and press save. Now, every time I open the Find tool, it'll default to bib records. Another thing that we can do is set a default search configuration for each record type or item. So let me show you what that means. Let's say whenever I search for bib records, I am using a basic search for the mode. That's typically what we'll be using, basic search. Let's say that I personally like to search by title. And I do like to search keyword all, so I'll leave that as is. Once this search is set exactly how I like it, I'm going to go ahead and click on this Save the current search column and filter settings as the user default. And I'll click Save. Once that star is highlighted, I know that this is set exactly how I want it to be set. And again, every time I close out, I open up, I'll be in the bib record, and I'll have basic search, title, and keyword all. If at any point you want to change that, you can open up the star and just choose to revert to system default search column and filter settings. Take a pause, look for questions. Okay. With this new Leap 7.7 update, we also now have the option to save a set of filters as your user default. So to do that, you're going to set filters as you normally do. We are going to click on this funnel search filter icon. We will begin to add conditions. So let's say I'll do an assigned branch of Algonquin. I'll choose a couple. One thing to know is if there's a drop down for these filters, you can choose multiple. I'll add another filter and let's do collection type to fiction. You will click apply. And then we see that our filter icon is highlighted. But there's one more step. You'll go ahead and click on that star icon again. You can check this show pending changes to see what we're adding to our user default. So we're adding an assigned branch. It's a list. I chose all the Algonquin branches. And the collection of fiction. And then I go ahead and press save. So once again, I close out of my Find tool, I open it up, and we can see our default search database. We can see the search configuration that we'd like, along with the set filters, and our star is highlighted, letting us know that they're all set and saved. Now, every time I search for something, we will hopefully see all of Algonquin's Harry Potter. Oh, filtered 0 to 75 out of 775. Strange. But keep in mind that that is keeping our filters there. So if for some reason those aren't coded that way, that is why it's not coming up. Okay, it's a good point to stop for questions. I don't see anything. I'll give another minute because I just went through quite a bit. All right. So this is a good point to transition into some tips for searching. Because one thing to know about the saved user defaults is that you are only able to set one set of filters per database. So that means these are the filters that I have for bib records. And I could go into the patron records and set another set of filters, but you only have one per database. This is tricky if you want to set multiple saved filters, but there is a trick around this, and I will go ahead and demo that for us now. So we are going to use the power search function to be able to save multiple saved filters. This is a search that uses common command language to build a query. But in case you're not familiar with common command language, please be reassured that you don't need to know it. We are instead going to use a basic search and then let the Find tool translate it to a power search for us. So to do this, we will open up our Find tool. We will select our preferred database. So I'm going to go ahead and select bibliographic record. We are going to start in a basic search. You will go ahead and set your qualifier and your relation to whatever you'd like. So again, let's say I like to search by title and I want to do keyword all. What you enter here matters, so make sure it's exactly how you want it. Next, we are going to leave this blank. We're not going to add any of our search terms yet. And then we are going to go ahead and click on our filters. So again, we have some filters that we have saved earlier. We can delete and add new ones. So I'm going to do assign branch again. I'll do Algonquin. I'll do a collection of nonfiction. And then let's do target audience of adult. And I'll click apply. Okay, so now we have those filters. I will go ahead under basic search and change it now to a power search. And here we can see that the find tool has automatically translated it for us. This is power searching. We have our search configuration. So as you can see, I chose title. I searched to search keyword all. These quotation marks is where you're going to put your search terms. And then we have our filters listed. So we have an assigned branch 5, that will be Algonquin. And then we have a collection of 3 that is nonfiction, and then a target audience of adults. To save the search, you will go ahead and click on this new Save Search button on the right of the search bar. And then you'll just name your search, whatever is helpful for you. So I'll do Algonquin, nonfiction adult, and I'll save. Now, whenever I want to pull up that search, I'll open my find tool. I'll change it from that basic search to power search. And this unsaved dropdown, you'll just go ahead and select the ones that you have created. So let's say you have a patron, they come, they want to make sure that they get they're interested in birding this week, and they want to get a book on birds. And they want to make sure that it's for adults and that it's at their assigned branch. You will go ahead and type bird into those quotations, press enter, and we will go ahead and get 37 results already filtered exactly how they need it. You know, all these books belong to Algonquin. You know, all of these books are going to be adult, and they're all going to be nonfiction. Let's say that patron comes back next week, and now they want to learn how to garden. You'll go again into your power search, find the one that you need, Algonquin nonfiction, and in those quotations, write garden, press enter, and then your results are there. What's the difference between all and equal? So just to clarify, you're seeing this all here and this equal here? Yes. So this is what I chose as my qualifier in relation. So this is title, this is keyword all. If I were to choose a different relation, so keyword any, that would say any. And if I chose phrase, it would say adjacent, because a phrase search will search for the terms being right next to each other. So this is just how we set up our configuration for our search. These are our filters. So branch equals 5, that's just telling us branch is Algonquin, which is coded as 5. Does that make sense? Did that answer the question? Yes, it is equal. Okay, perfect. I am going to pause, just give another second for more questions because that was a ton of information. I hope this is something new. I really love creating these searches. Hopefully, you get to use it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that again. And I want to share a few more searching tips. So we have now a new recent icon. This is also new with 7.7. So let me search for Percy Jackson. Oh, I still have my filters. Let me go ahead and delete these filters. All right. I'm searching for Percy Jackson. And let's say I accidentally close out of this and I didn't mean to. Now, instead of having to jump back into the Find tool and relaunch my Percy Jackson, I can simply click on this new Recent icon and it'll open up all of the searches that we've done during our session today. One thing to note is that we will be losing these once we log out, so these will not be saved after. Keep that in mind. If you do want to save a search, go ahead and do that power search. And then if you need to just open any one during the session, you can go ahead and let's see, open that garden search once again. This will display up to 100 searches. So hopefully you don't need more than 100 during a day, but you can go back and find any of those with the most recent search on top. All right, I'm going to click back to my Percy Jackson search. Okay, so now another thing that I want to show you that was also added is the ability to go ahead and shift click in the Find tool. So this is again new with 7.7. If you want to select multiple records at a time, you will go ahead and click on your first, scroll, find all the ones you want. Let's say I want to go up to here, press shift on your keyboard, and then press on the last item, on the last record. And so you see everything in between highlighted. Let's say you want to skip a couple and then highlight another group. You could do that by just clicking, scrolling, pressing that shift key on your computer, clicking, and then you could see that second group is highlighted. The group in the middle there that we skipped is not, and then that first group is there. Another handy trick is that you can add all of these records that you selected now to a record set straight from the Find tool. So I'll go ahead and create a new record set and just show you that in this table as well, you're able to do that shift key. So go ahead and highlight as many as you want, click, scroll, press shift, and select. And so Innovative's goal is to have this added to every table. It's not quite there yet, but it'll be a really helpful feature once it is. And it already is very helpful for record sets in the Find tool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close. I also want to show you, this one's pretty simple, but sometimes our eyes overlook the things that are right there, the small things that are right in front of us. So I do want to flag this one navigation tip here. I'm going to open this bib record and take a look. Let's say I'm reviewing this bib record, not sure if this is what I want, and then I decide, yeah, this isn't what I'm looking for. Our eyes do gravitate to this big red close button, and then we have to relaunch or hold search. I want to just bring your attention to this results. That's right next to it. You click on it, it's going to take you directly back to your results, so that you don't have to do that whole relaunching. A little easier now with the Recent tool, but it's also just nice and easy to be able to click back to find exactly what you're looking for. All right. I see something pop up in the chat. This is a great question. Can I ask who's more often using the specific SQL code search versus using the power search? I don't think I have the answer to this question, but if anyone here can jump on and share their personal experiences, please feel free. Power search all the time, yay. All right, I'm gonna let that go. Keep continue in the chat. Please feel free to drop in and have a conversation about that. Power search is my safe search, beautiful. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and keep going, and then at the end, if anyone wants to stay after and chat on more power searching, we can definitely do that together. Okay. The next searching tip that I want to go ahead and share with you all is the wildcards. So we use wildcards to go ahead and maximize our results when we search in Polaris. These are special symbols to represent or stand in for one or more characters, and that can be helpful when you might not know all the characters or like numbers. If there's a phone number and you're missing one of the numbers, this can be used to help fill the gap and search for some variation. The asterisk is one of them, is the first one I'm going to talk about. And this is used to stand in for one or more characters. So when you're typing a word or phrase, you can use it to stand in for the rest of the term. So for example, if I type in run and I add our wildcard at the end, this is going to pull results for run, running, runners. In a second, my filters might still be applied, so let's see. Let's try one more time. All right, I'm going to try again for run and add my wildcard. There we go. And we can see that it'll also come up with things like rune, runny, rundown, and more. So just keeping in mind when you use that, you might be getting a little bit more than you bargained for, but it's helpful when you know that it's like a root word and there's more at the end that you're looking for. We can also use this for patrons, and we can also use this in the middle of a term. So I'm going to pop over to our patron records and use the example Deborah patron. And I'm thinking as a staff member, I don't know if Deborah spells her name with an R-A at the end or she spells it with O-R-A-H. So I'm going to go ahead and put my wildcard and type in Deborah's full name, Deborah Patron. And when I use that wildcard, we can see that it is pulling Deborah with an R-A, but also pulling Deborah with an O-R-A-H. So it's looking at that root word, that Deb, and pulling out anything else that applies. And take a look for questions. I know, right? It's pretty cool. So this other one, our other wild card is the question mark. And the question mark is used to substitute one character. So as you saw here, this was like multiple characters. The question mark can only be used to substitute one. So let's say you have a phone number, but the last number is smudged. You can put a question mark and see all of the phone numbers that pull up with that same root. I'm going to use an example, a patron as well, and I'm going to do Kira, but I don't know if Kira spells her name with a Y-R-Y or if she spells it with an I. So I'm going to go ahead and write Kira question mark R-A and write their entire name. So Kira test. Go ahead and enter, and we can see Kira pull up, spelling with a Y and spelling with an I. Really helpful if you don't know how someone's spelling their name, if you're missing a number and a phone number. I also want to show you the difference if I use a question mark and asterisk. Again, if I use the asterisk, it's going to put multiple letters in between there. So we have Kira with a Y, Kira with an I, but we also have Kiara added because it's putting in even more characters. All right, pausing, checking for questions. No questions. Please keep sending them along. Okay. The last tips and tricks that I'm going to be sharing with you today are for holds. So they're a little specific, but I hope that enough of you here place holds for this to be very, very helpful and useful. I am going to first open my patron record. All right. And I'm going to go over to my hold/held tab. So the first feature that I want to go over is called multiple holds. This is helpful when a patron approaches you with a list of titles that they would like to place on hold at once. And rather than opening the find tool and placing every single item on hold at a time, you can place all of those on hold at once. So beginning again from our patron record, you will open their hold/held tab, and you will come down to this more tab. And it's all the way at the end, so it's a little hidden, and you're going to click on multiple holds. So now you are prompted with this add titles, and you can go ahead and select this and start adding the titles that you like. So I'm gonna say I have been wanting to rewatch New Girl. So I want to place a hold on the first three seasons. So I'm gonna go ahead and select season one's there. I want season two. I'll add season three. You know what? I might even be able to make it through the fourth season. I'm gonna click open, and all of those titles are added here. Let's say your kiddo says, actually, let's also add the first Percy Jackson in there for my kiddo. Percy Jackson. Um, let's get The Lightning Thief, the first movie. We add it. And once your patrons list is all complete, you just click on this green place hold button. Take a second to load. And then you can confirm that everything was added to the list in the patrons hold. So that's multiple holds. The other one that I wanted to show you is called group holds. So let's say that the patron wants to watch Lord of the Rings, but they don't care if they get the Blu-ray or the DVD format. They just want whichever one's going to get there first. So to do that, we're going to start off with our new multiple holds function that we just learned how to do and now we're experts on. We are going to add both titles down to their holds list. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I'm going to go ahead and find the DVD format and I'll find the Blu-ray. And I will open. I see DVD format, Blu-ray, DVD, and then I will go ahead and place hold by placing it on that green button. And let's take a look. We have Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings. They're both on hold for this patron. I will next check both items. Jump over to this add to group button that is now highlighted. And it'll add them to group A. So now, whenever those two holds are associated with each other, and whichever format comes first will resolve both holds for the patron. When we shared this with Mount Prospect staff over the summer, one of them had the wonderful idea that this would be very good for summer reading assignments when a student typically comes in with a long list of potential titles and they just need to read one and they don't care which one they read, they just want the one that gets here first. You can place all of those on hold, put them in a group together, and then whichever item gets there first would resolve that hold for them. And it just like quickens the process for them to get whichever book is there fastest. Okay, so those are some features for placing holds that will hopefully make your life a little bit easier. I'm gonna wait for a second to see for questions. All right. All right, so I'm gonna pop back over to my PowerPoint. I wanted to go through some of our resources that we have for you all. I will also email these out with the recording so you don't have to worry about getting the link. But first of all, I want to say that we do have that CCS how-to documentation on our site. It's on ccslib.org, and you will just need your L2 credentials to log in. So keep that in mind. You're going to be asked to log in. It's just your L2 credentials. And then you're able to use any of our how-to documentation. We have courses and things that are constantly updated to reflect the new upgrades with LEAP so that you're always learning and practicing the up-to-date items. Next, we have our CCS YouTube page. This is where all of our webinars and all of our lessons are recorded and updated. So please, this will be posted on YouTube as well. So if you ever need to go back to it, you can find it there. In addition to our website and our YouTube page, there's also the Innovative Idea Exchange. And this is where you can publicly post to the Polaris community any ideas that you may have to improve LEAP, as well as explore any other ideas that other library staff other LEAP library staff have posted. Ideas that get a lot of traction and get a lot of support from the community sometimes make it into upgrades. So please don't be shy about submitting. If you ever have an idea and you're like, I don't want to submit it myself, or I need someone else to help write it, you can submit a ticket with us and we can support you in that process. And then once you do have an idea posted, you can email it out to everyone in CCS and get those votes. So please keep that in mind if you ever have an idea and you think, you know what, this would make LEAP so much easier. Please, please, please submit. And lastly, if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at help@ccslive.org. We're here to support you.